Have you ever wondered why we make certain decisions without thinking, while others require more effort and contemplation? This question forms the basis of the groundbreaking book, Thinking, Fast and Slow, by Daniel Kahneman, a renowned psychologist and Nobel laureate. The book is a deep dive into the intricacies of our mind and the dual systems that drive our thinking and decision-making. The first system, known as System 1, is like a high-speed train. It's fast, intuitive, and emotional, operating automatically and quickly, with little or no effort and no sense of voluntary control. This system is the mastermind behind our gut reactions and quick judgments. It's like having a super-efficient assistant who can do a lot of work in a short amount of time. However, this efficiency comes with a price. System 1 is prone to mistakes and biases, like a well-meaning friend who sometimes gives bad advice. Now let's meet System 2. This one is like a slow-moving, heavy-duty locomotive. It's deliberate, logical, and requires attention and effort, often involving complex computations. System 2 comes into play when we engage in activities that demand focus, like solving a challenging math problem or evaluating a complex decision. It's like having a diligent, detail-oriented colleague who takes their time to get things done right. Interestingly, these two systems are not isolated entities, but rather, they interact and influence each other. For instance, the biases of System 1 can sometimes affect the more deliberate System 2. It's like a dance, where each system has its own rhythm and pace, yet they must move in harmony to create a beautiful performance. In essence, Thinking, Fast and Slow provides a fascinating exploration of these two systems and how they shape our thoughts, decisions, and actions. It's like a guidebook to our own minds, helping us understand why we think and behave the way we do. The interplay between these systems forms the crux of our decision-making process. So, the next time you make a decision, pause for a moment and ask yourself, is this the fast train or the slow locomotive driving my thoughts? How often do we take the path of least resistance when making decisions? This question brings us to the law of least effort, a concept that Daniel Kahneman introduces in his book, Thinking, Fast and Slow. The law of least effort suggests that our brains have a natural tendency to choose the easiest route when faced with complex problems. This path is usually paved by System 1, the fast, intuitive, and emotional part of our psyche. System 1 is like a quick-thinking friend who's always ready with an answer, saving us the trouble of deep analysis or calculation. But there's a catch. While this fast and effortless thinking can be beneficial in certain situations, say, when we need to make a split-second decision, it also leaves room for errors and biases. It's like taking a shortcut on a familiar route, only to find out later that there was a roadblock we didn't anticipate. Our brains, in their quest for efficiency, often default to System 1, even in situations where the slow, deliberate thinking of System 2 would serve us better. This is because System 2 requires more energy and effort. It's like choosing to climb a steep hill instead of taking a gentle slope. Naturally, we tend to avoid the hill if we can, but what happens when the slope leads us astray? This is where the implications of the law of least effort become clear. When we rely too heavily on System 1, we become prone to cognitive biases and systematic errors. We might overlook important details, make hasty judgments, or let our emotions cloud our logic. So, while our brains are incredibly efficient, we must remember that efficiency doesn't always equate to accuracy. Just as a car needs both a fast accelerator and a reliable brake to function properly, our minds need the balance of both System 1 and System 2 to make sound decisions. In the end, understanding the law of least effort helps us to recognize these mental shortcuts and encourages us to engage our slower, more deliberate System 2 when necessary. It's about knowing when to take the slope and when to tackle the hill. Our brains are efficient, but efficiency doesn't always equate to accuracy. Did you know your brain might be tricking you into making suboptimal decisions? It's a surprising thought, isn't it? But this is where the concept of cognitive biases comes into focus. Cognitive biases are systematic errors in our thinking that affect the decisions and judgments that we make. They're often a result of our brain's attempt to simplify information processing. One of the most common cognitive biases that Kahneman discusses is the overconfidence effect. This is our tendency to believe that we know more than we actually do. For instance, if you're asked how much you know about the inner workings of a car, and you rate your knowledge highly, you're likely demonstrating the overconfidence effect. In reality, most of us know less about complex systems than we believe. Another prevalent bias is the availability heuristic. This is our tendency to rely on immediate examples that come to mind when evaluating a specific topic, concept, or decision. For example, you might judge the risk of smoking based on vivid stories of individuals with lung cancer, rather than statistical data on its prevalence. While these stories are impactful, they may not represent the overall risk accurately. These biases, and many others, are products of System 1's fast and intuitive thinking. They're mental shortcuts that often help us make decisions quickly, but they can also lead to poor choices and judgments. For instance, overconfidence might lead an entrepreneur to take unnecessary risks, while the availability heuristic might cause an investor to make decisions based on recent market events rather than long-term trends. So, what can we do about these biases? Well, awareness is the first step. By understanding that our brains are prone to these biases, we can be more critical of our initial judgments and intuitions. We can engage System 2, our slow and deliberate thinking, to analyze decisions more thoroughly and avoid the pitfalls of cognitive biases. Recognizing our biases is the first step toward better decision-making. It's about understanding that our brains, as amazing as they are, have limitations, but with knowledge and mindfulness we can strive to make better, more informed decisions. Can our thinking patterns influence our financial decisions? A question that may seem rhetorical but holds immense significance. In Thinking, Fast and Slow, Daniel Kahneman extends the principles of psychology and cognitive biases to the realm of behavioral economics. Behavioral economics is a field that explores how psychological factors influence the economic decisions that people make. It's not just about numbers and graphs, but about understanding human behavior. Let's consider our dual systems. System 1, with its quick and intuitive nature, often takes the lead in financial decisions. For instance, you might feel a rush of joy when you see a sale and impulsively buy something, even if you don't need it. That's System 1 at play, making a snap decision based on emotional response. System 2, however, is more deliberate and logical. It's the part of your brain that would stop and think, do I really need this? Is it worth the price? But remember, System 2 requires more effort to engage. So, we often default to System 1, especially when faced with complex financial decisions. This dynamic can significantly impact our personal finance decisions and even the broader stock market. For example, stock market bubbles and crashes are often driven by the collective System 1 responses of investors, panic selling or over-optimistic buying. But it's not all doom and gloom. Understanding these cognitive processes can help us make better financial decisions. By being aware of our tendency to default to System 1, we can make a conscious effort to engage System 2 in our financial decisions. We can question our impulses, do the math, consider the long-term consequences, and make more informed decisions. In a nutshell, Kahneman's work illustrates that our thinking patterns, dominated by System 1 and System 2, significantly influence our financial decisions. So next time you're about to make a financial decision, pause for a moment and ask yourself, is this my System 1 or System 2 talking? Understanding our cognitive processes can help us make more informed financial decisions. So what can we do with the knowledge of these two systems? As we draw this exploration to a close, we find ourselves armed with fresh insights into our cognition, distilled from the pages of Daniel Kahneman's Thinking, Fast and Slow. We've journeyed through the labyrinth of our minds, coming face to face with the two systems that govern our decision-making. System 1, our quick, intuitive, and automatic system, is a master of efficiency, but it's also prone to biases and errors. On the flip side, there's System 2, our slow, deliberate, and logical system, which demands our attention and effort, but offers us the power of careful analysis and thought. What's crucial is the understanding that these systems are not independent entities, but rather two sides of the same coin. They work together, shaping our thoughts, our judgments, our decisions. The interplay between them is a dance, sometimes harmonious, sometimes fraught with tension. But it's this very dance that makes us human, that shapes our experience of the world. One of the key takeaways from Kahneman's book is the law of least effort. This principle highlights our brain's tendency to take the path of least resistance, to default to the automatic System 1, even when the more effortful System 2 might yield better results. It's a reminder that our minds, while powerful, often seek shortcuts. But herein lies the opportunity for growth. By becoming aware of this dynamic, We can strive to engage our system 2 more consciously, to challenge our intuition, to question our automatic judgments. It's not about overruling System 1 entirely, but rather about striking a balance, about knowing when to trust our gut and when to pause for deeper reflection. The beauty of thinking fast and slow is that it doesn't just illuminate the workings of our minds, it also empowers us to use this knowledge in our everyday lives. Whether it's in our personal finances or our broader understanding of the world, these insights can guide us towards more informed, rational decision-making. As Kahneman suggests, understanding our minds is the first step toward better decision-making. Happy thinking, fast and slow.